Hi there, and welcome to this FPLreview.com video guide on sensitivity analysis. So in this video, I'm going to guide you through how to run sensitivity analysis, the different settings relating to it, and how to interpret the results from it. So I've loaded up a random team here, and before we go much further, we should set our chip plan in the chip usage section. So for the sake of this video, let's say we're wildcarding in game week 35. Now we can go to transfer solver and to sensitivity analysis. So 3 new settings have appeared. The first one being the number of simulations that we want to run. The trade-off here is that if we run a high amount of simulations, we will get a more stable result, but it's going to take longer. Equally, if we run too few simulations, it's going to remove a lot of meaning from our results. So 20 is a reasonable starting point. Maybe we want to do 50 to 100. If we really want, you can do several hundred, but really it starts to lose much extra value after 100 or so. Next is the amount of noise we want to inject into each simulation. And the way we can imagine this is that each simulation is a different worldview or set of perspectives, and we're independently injecting noise into each one. So then we can solve across each different worldview and come up with the different route moves that are best from each perspective. So this can be set from 0 to 5, but we can go into a bit more detail if we click into split noise. So we can set the amount of noise injected into player ratings and team ratings, into X-Mins themselves, and into the solver settings. There's one last setting here called evaluations, and let's say if we set that to 10, what this will do is it'll find the 10 best moves, the 10 best route moves across all the simulations and calculate the noiseless eval score related to that route move. One detail on this is that if you know the amount of threads that your computer can run in parallel, it's actually a good idea to try and set your amount of simulation and evaluations as a total that matches that. Basically as a multiple of it, as it'll just run a little bit faster that way. Also, in terms of setting solver speed, I'd actually recommend using speed 6 or 5. This is because the eval gap between speed 6, 5 and down to 1 is actually very low. And for something like this, where we're running lots of noise injected simulations, we don't necessarily need to get the perfect results all of the time. So really loses value running heavier solves here. So let's go ahead and run our solve. And now we've got our outputs, and it lists all the route moves found across our 20 simulations, how often they were the best move, the second best, and the third best. You can see in this case, it's heavily recommending rolling your transfer. There are a few other interesting moves. So in one case, a double transfer to bring in white and easy was suggested. We can also see, it seems like a huge outlier. We can also see the clean evaluation score. And again, rolling the transfer is way out on top. So your sensitivity analysis is basically not finding anything else that interesting. One added note for this is that if we're injecting a lot of X-Min noise, it can appear to inflate the ranking of players within certain minutes. Largely because the times they're showing up are in worldviews that are warm under minutes. So it can be very interesting to see potentially good moves if we've got a different X-Men perspective showing up, but we just have to be that bit careful of how we interpret it. Let's also run a wildcard sensitivity analysis, and we'll see a slightly different output. This time, it's going to show us the percentage of occurrences a player has turned up in, rather than the individual route moves. So again, quite an interesting overall analysis. It gives you a high level perspective and possibly throws up a few new ideas. And I think it's a very valuable perspective for idea generation with the tool.